of negligence. And then in entertainment news, in online drama news, we should talk about the massive creator and streamer that is Gideon. That's because Gideon yesterday tweeted out that there's a warrant for his arrest in Houston. And as for why, he claimed that it was for a prank video that he made with a creator by the name of Dami that was posted back in February titled "My College Professor Rejected Me," with him appearing to film it on Valentine's Day and interrupting a professor's class so Dami could give her flowers and a heart balloon, even though she clearly does not want them there. They keep interrupting her, following her around, kind of causing chaos until she says,
"Baby!
UHPD is about to be your Valentine. Out the door. Take this.
Please, please. No, just take it.
Okay,
Just take.
and as this thing keeps going, she threatens to call the police, with the whole incident moving outside as they bother her while she's on the phone, either with security or the police. But the video also ends before any officers get there, so it's unclear if they actually responded. And as far as Gideon, he has given people interesting updates, saying the warrant is specifically for criminal trespassing. He was also taunting the Houston Police Department on Twitter, tweeting, "I'm back and in Houston and ain't nothing HPD can do about it. 10K likes in 10 minutes, I'll take a pic in front of the HPD." With him then posting a photo holding a sign that's the same as his caption, saying L plus ratio. Also, with this, you had some people saying that he was faking it, right? That there was no actual warrant, he's just doing it for clout. So we actually contacted officials in Harris County, where Houston's located, but they couldn't give further details. Though, even with that, we did find an active misdemeanor warrant against him for criminal trespass on the Harris County Sheriff's Office website. And with this, I will say, this story is a late addition, right? Everything we've heard so far, it's from one side, we're trying to confirm the validity of the warrant and everything happening. But what I will say is whether or not Houston police are actively looking for him, there is a conversation to be had about YouTube pranks getting out of hand. And I'm not talking about like just disrupting classes. Right? There was a YouTuber just last week that's known for pranks who was filming out at a mall who got shot. With a YouTuber, Tanner Cook, reportedly saying, "I was playing a prank and a simple practical joke and this guy didn't take it very well." With a guy that shot him being charged with aggravated malicious wounding, use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, and discharging a firearm within a building. And while Cook is absolutely lucky he's still alive, you had the Washington Post reporting that on Friday, a top prosecutor reviewed the video of the YouTube prankster. And reportedly at that time, they could not rule out charging Cook with a crime. And Cook's father reportedly responding to this news by saying, "If you're going to bring charges against my son, go bring charges against TV celebrities and prank shows. And everybody else, all the videos of people getting punked on social media. Let's make it so no one can do that anymore." With the prosecutor also adding, in the footage, Cook approaches the shooter in the mall's food court area, gets close to him, and follows him for approximately 60 to 90 seconds. Then saying the person told Cook to stop several times and tried to walk away, but then shooting Cook in the abdomen. With the prosecutor noting, you don't know the recipient of this type of prank, where they are, or what their trauma might be. They may receive it as being a threat, but also adding nothing that I am saying absolves the shooter for what he did. But as far as how all this is going to shake out, or even with the Gideon situation, we're going to have to wait and see. And of course, in the meantime, I'd love to know your thoughts. And then, whether you live in rainy conditions or you're heading to a destination with unpredictable weather, your best move is to have the shoe that you can go anywhere with. And that's exactly where the fantastic sponsor of today's show, Vessi, comes in. Vessi's boardwalk sneakers have been great for playing in the rainy weather with my boys, and the best thing I packed for last week's getaway. Because Vessis are lightweight, waterproof, and snowproof, so you can enjoy a relaxing walk in any weather. And more importantly, they're just really the clutch shoe for when you go on vacation. And they look great. The low cut goes with almost any fit you can think of. With different colorways, you can pick the right look for you. The boardwalk sneakers are laceless, and you can move around without being restricted like with rain boots. But also what I really love are the people at Vessi, helping to support programs to create fresh water where it's needed most around the world. Not to mention funding programs that help shape the next generation of water protectors. So go check out the Vessi boardwalk and other styles at vessi.com/DeFranco and get 15% off your entire order. Go get your style and size now. And then in business news, we need to talk about weight loss and health because there's so much going on right now, some exciting, some concerning, which makes absolute sense because it is a massive industry. In 2022, reportedly, there were $76 billion in sales in the diet industry, with that number reportedly including a range of things like weight loss, medical programs, diet foods, gym memberships. Most recently, there's been a huge focus on drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy, which is also part of the reason we're seeing former titans in this industry changing things up, actively trying not to become the blockbuster of their world. Weight Watchers, for example, their memberships have just been dwindling. Last year, only having 3.5 million members, down from 5 million in 2020. And so what did Weight Watchers do? They bought and acquired a pharmaceutical-based clinical subscription service, meaning they'll be able to offer telehealth options for these medications to their existing millions of customers and their over 20 million former customers. And the stock market absolutely loved this news, with Weight Watchers shares jumping over 50% today. There's some very big news that I know has left some people divided, especially regarding the controversies around Wegovy. But then on the other bit of weight loss news, we're seeing headlines like losing weight might kill you. And that because there was this shocking revelation from a study published just yesterday looking at around 19,000 adults in the US and Australia. So I think a key thing to keep in mind find is that most of the people in this were over the age of 70, though some were just over 65. But they found that for older adults, weight loss is actually associated with higher mortality rates, with them saying that goes for all starting weights, even people who were obese at the beginning of the study. With weight loss, even as small as 5% found to increase the risk of death, especially in older men. And all of this reportedly controlling for health issues from the start, excluding people who had conditions like cardiovascular disease, dementia, physical disabilities, or chronic illness. But before you start requesting some Daddy DeFranco's double cheeseburgers, there are a few caveats, right? Other factors may have affected the results, such as changes in activity level, diet quality, and the intentionality of the weight loss. And that last thing is especially important because it's possible that the reason mortality rose for some people is that their weight loss wasn't actually on purpose, right? It's kind of been joked about in the past that there's a certain age where when you lose weight, people aren't like, congratulations, or like, oh shit, are you okay? Right? And that's because weight loss can be an early sign for conditions like cancer and dementia, or stem from a reduced appetite due to inflammation and hormones. So the correlation here might not necessarily be causation. Plus, the study didn't find any link between weight gain and mortality. I mean, you can't just lower your risk of death by putting on more pounds. So just something to keep in mind, though, for an elder that comes across this video, I just gotta say, don't use this as an excuse to change up your lifestyle. That is a discussion between you and your doctor. And then in international news, tens of thousands of junior doctors in the UK walked off the job today, and we're already seeing the massive impact. Right, and this after just 1 month ago, some 60,000 junior doctors briefly went on a strike, canceling around 175,000 appointments. But this new demonstration is going to be longer, lasting 4 days until 7 a.m. on Saturday. And some saying this could be the most disruptive demonstration in the history of the NHS, with health services bosses estimating some 350,000 operations and appointments have to be canceled, with other staff also having to be drafted for emergency services, critical care, and maternity care, which, hey, underlines just how essential these junior doctors are to the NHS. They're practically the backbone, making up almost half of all NHS doctors. Yet according to the doctors' trade union, newly qualified medics make just over £14 per hour, which is why they're asking for a 35% raise to make up for inflation. But just like last time, the government's health secretary says, hey, this demand's just unaffordable, though saying he's willing to negotiate if the strike's called off. But I really don't see that happening, because the whole point of this demonstration is to say, hey, we understand things cost. But the government continues down this road of inaction, or they listen to our demands and they meet us. Either way, there is a very real cost. And over these next 4 days, we're going to give you a little preview of that. And I'll also add, like is often the case, I'm on the side of the workers here. Like for people in the healthcare industry, teachers, pretty much anyone that got like a pat on the back and they were praised as a hero during the pandemic, how are you not furious every fucking day? How everyone thanked you, said, we loved you, you're heroes. And then the moment things got less scary, everyone was like, we can treat you like shit again. You have enough. Don't be greedy. It's just a reminder that everything, which of course includes people's feelings, it's temporary, it's conditional, and you got to look out for you. Which is also, I think, anything bad that happens during this strike that they're going to try and put on these people that are just trying to get a wage that makes sense, that shouldn't fall at their feet. That should fall at the feet of the government. And then the situation, the civil war in Myanmar, it's giving us new horrific extremes by the day. For since the military overthrew the elected government back in February of 2021, it's been embroiled in a war against a patchwork of opposition militias across the country. And today, one of those militias held a gathering to celebrate the opening of an office in the Northwest when suddenly a fighter jet swoops in. It reportedly dropped one or more bombs directly on the crowd, decimating the crowd. And while the wounded were being carted away, a helicopter swooped in and sprayed gunfire at the survivors, with the rebels saying that several of the deceased were resistance fighters, but claiming most were civilians, with photos on social media showing burned and mutilated bodies as well as flattened buildings and vehicles, with witnesses and independent media reporting at least 100 dead, including at least 30 children, making this the deadliest attack since the coup. And with this, to also give you key background, this internal conflict isn't new in Myanmar. The government has battled armed ethnic groups since declaring independence from Britain back in 1948, but since the military repressed peaceful protests following the coup, pro-democracy forces have allied with some of those ethnic groups to resist the military's rule, and they've put up this extraordinarily united front. What we've seen in response is the military going on this ruthless terror campaign to squash the rebels and slaughtering civilians in the process, with airstrikes like the one we talked about today actually being commonplace, on top of soldiers burning down villages and raping women. Each day, each week, each month, there's another horror story. Like last month, you saw the regime reportedly massacring at least 22 people, including monks, at a Buddhist monastery. And back in October, they bombed an outdoor concert, killing at least 80 people, including the musicians, with it being estimated that over 3,000 civilians have died since the coup 2 years ago. And that's in addition to things like 1.4 million people being displaced from their homes and nearly a third of the country in need of humanitarian aid, according to the UN. So in response to all this, human rights advocates have pushed for a ban on aviation fuel sales to the regime, and many Western nations have followed through with arms embargoes, with the US and Britain recently imposing sanctions on companies and individuals who sell jet fuel to the military, which is an absolutely key thing to take away and significant because the military there especially relies on its air power since the rebels have little defense against it, and ground troops are vulnerable to mines and IEDs. Right from the beginning of the coup to January this year, there's been a reported 600 air attacks by the military at a minimum, but they will still be getting supplies because China and Russia. They're continuing to supply the military there with supplies and aircraft. And that's where today's show is going to end. Thank you for being a part of another one of my daily dives in the news. My name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.